Very good evening to a very distinguished audience. I'd like to thank the organizing students for having me here. The subject given to me was extremely esoteric. I'm used to talking on medical issues, I'm talking about other technically sound issues. But this issue is something which is very close to my heart and therefore very difficult for me to express it the way it should be done. And so it's going to take me a few seconds to warm up. This is a subject I have never discussed before, never shared, never talked about. It's about my personal life. It's about my evolution through life. This story starts somewhere in the second standard, when I started school. In the second standard, my first mishap was when I failed the maths test. I was called to the school, to the front, and the teacher asked me, said, "Anand, are you blind or what?" And I was a bit taken aback, and I said, "Why is she asking me this?" She says, "Can't you copy the sums correctly from the board? You have made such careless errors that you haven't been able to pass this test." I went back home because I had to sign my exam paper by our parents, and my mother asked me, "What happened?" I said, I copied it, I thought I copied it all right, and I got it wrong. She said, "You couldn't see the board?" I said, "I can see the board, but I don't know why I copied it wrong." So then I was taken off to an ophthalmologist. And the ophthalmologist said to me that you're not able to read beyond the third line. How did you manage in school? I said, "I never knew that I didn't read beyond the third line." Because that's when I learned for the first time that I was born with poor vision and I never knew what clear vision meant. So starts the whole story of my life. First I was given spectacles. These spectacles were numbered. They improved my vision to a certain extent, but not completely. Life went on. I made a few mistakes, but now I realize that I need to do much more than others in order to get things right. So I would enlist the help of my friends, ask them to read the board for me, verify, sometimes get up from the chair, walk up to the front and read and get it right. And I started getting better at that job because I realized what my handicap was. In the sixth standard, the ophthalmologist said something even worse. He had dilated the pupils and he told my mother that I think he's got cataracts in his eyes. Today this word is such a easily used word and it's such a commonly used word, but in those days it was completely new to a sixth standard student. And so I heard this word cataract and I thought it's some big disease. And the next thing he said that when he's not able to handle it, then we will go on for a surgery. I learned 2 new words on that day, and I came back home. I didn't have the courage to ask anyone what they meant. I opened the dictionary, I saw the meaning of cataract, and it said opacity of the lens. So the 2 new words, opacity and lens. So I looked those up, got that meaning, and came to some conclusion. And then surgery. Surgery means operation. And we had been taught as kids that the eye is like a bubble. So don't play with your pencil. You may poke your eye and your eye may burst. So we used to think the eye is like a bubble. And I said, how will they operate on a bubble? If they put a needle there, it might burst and then lose everything that I have. And that night, I formulated myself that I don't want any surgery. I'm going to manage things the way they are. Then I tried to explore what was the surgery about. And they said that we remove your old lens and we give you thick glasses. And so I said, I don't want that. Now how do I fight against the system? So I learned the chart by heart. And when I went to the ophthalmologist the next time, I put the specs, I shut one eye and I rattled out all the alphabets even without seeing them. And so the ophthalmologist said, I think it's doing fine. Let's have it. Let's just observe. And then I started putting more efforts into my other senses. and I started using my ears, my sensations, and my hearing and my coordination and everything to manage as well as the others. And the urge to do better and better became so intense that I spent all my time just doing what I wanted to do properly and well. So when I did that, I started doing well in my studies. I started coming the first 5 of the class. I started taking part in sports. I started doing those sports extremely well. And I felt that I'm doing much better than others. Except that when I played small ball games, I would not be able to see the ball. And so I was playing cricket. When I played cricket for the school, I had the ignominy of not going to bat to score 6 runs to let my house win, because I knew that I won't be able to score those 6 runs because I can't see the ball. And everybody had come to know that if Anand comes to bat, give him a full toss and he won't know where the ball is. I used to wait till the ball bounces, and my reflexes were so good that as soon as it bounced, I saw it and then I hit it. But that was a fluke, because as soon as they realized that this guy can't see the ball till it bounces, they would bowl me full tosses, and that fear of hurting my head, I didn't go to bat. And that was a very disappointing moment in my life. Another disappointing moment in my life was when I was disqualified in the 200 meters race, because there were 8 lanes in the curve and 10 lanes on the straight, and I was in the 8th lane. And as we were running, when the 8th lane blended into the 8th lane of the straight, I saw 2 more lanes outside, and I didn't realize that these 2 lanes are the extra lanes. So I crossed onto one of them. Then I saw that the gap between me and the next guy had an extra lane. I went back into this lane. I came second, but I was disqualified. And that also was a huge disappointment, because we lost the championship in athletics by 2 points, which if I had got those, we would have won it. And I was the captain then. So I was really disappointed. On the side of it, my career started getting better and better in school. I started doing well in school. I reached the level where they made me house captain. I got the 2nd leadership award, and I got honors prize throughout from 7th to the 11th. During this period, I decided I wanted to do medicine. And everyone said, my dad knew that my vision's weak, and he said, look, you're going to do medicine, it's a very difficult science. I said, no, I'll do it at any cost. I'll do it. So I studied very hard, and on the eve of our practical exam, which decides whether you get into medicine or not, I remember I had gone for extra classes for practical training, that is to dissect an earthworm or a cockroach. And that time it was tipped that the earthworm nervous system would come. And so I went to this class and I said, I have to learn how to do it well. And it was a fine ring like that of a white hair. And you remove everything to just expose that. The teacher taught me in 3 steps. Cut this, do it this way, and pull it off. And you'll see the ring. And I couldn't see what he was doing. So I'd cut anywhere, pull off anything, and destroy that nerve. At the end of 7 attempts, he told me, Anand, if you get into medicine, I'll resign as professor. This was on the night of the exam. The next day I went. That night I fretted a lot. I went back to my room. I said, I'm going to do it once more in my house. And I took out a magnifying glass, put it on that, and I did the dissection. And did the dissection very well. The next day we did it. And I got the best marks in that which I ever could get. Got into medicine. Not on the strength of just that, but on the strength of all the performance. And at the end of it, when I went, I got into medical college. The same fitness test. I rattled off all the numbers even though I couldn't see the board. I said, from now my pattern starts all over again. But every year my friends helped me. I realized that there are certain subjects where vision is extremely important. I will get poor marks there. I calculated that I should get double the marks in other subjects. got through every year, did very well, went into postgraduate medicine, studied my subjects with a magnified class, and at the end of it, when I finished my MD, I felt like I have really conquered it. I started practice, 10 years of practice, and then one day, by the time my vision was deteriorated a lot, the left eye had gone blind, the right eye could see 6 by 36 without specs, 6 by 24 with specs. But I was pulling on very well with it with the help of people around me. The best support in my life was from my wife and from my children and from my very close friends. My wife was my navigator in driving. When I used to drive a car, I used to chase the tail lights of the car in front of me because that's the best way to navigate around. But she would sit next to me and she said, now there's something, now there's a rut, now there's a drum in the middle of the road, be careful, and managed to drive within the city. Long distance was very difficult. But we managed to do everything together. Thereafter, when I started at the age of 40, one day I was driving home from work and on Marine Drive, actually when you can't see the road, you have a very good idea where the ruts are and where the obstacles are and where you have to turn because you remember it. Someone had put a drum there just in the evening because the road was broken. And I nearly drove into that drum. And I just about stopped and I was palpitating. I said, what if it was not a drum, it was a human being? And what if I had knocked him over? And what if the cops caught me? And what if they said that you're driving with a license in spite of having poor vision? I said, I have to do something now. And that was either I quit driving or I get my eyes fixed. The biggest fear in my life was getting my eyes fixed and losing what I had. And my ophthalmologist then said, look, your left eye is already gone. You can't see from it. You operate on the left eye. If you get something, it will be a gift of God. And if you don't, then you haven't lost anything. I was sold on that. Went for surgery. Surgery went off well. Next morning, he came to my house. It was a Sunday. I thought he'd make a big do about removing the back. He just came, gripped it, and ripped it. And that day changed my life. I saw everything crystal clear for the first time in my life. I saw red as red, blue as blue, and before that, it was red as brown and blue as green because of the filter. And that changed my life completely. And I saw all the books in utter clarity on my bookshelf. I had a hobby of buying books, thinking I'll read them one day, but each book took a month to read because it was with a magnifying glass. I loved reading, so I kept buying books. And then suddenly I see so many books and I can see them. So I started reading about them, I started reading expanse on different subjects. And that expanded my horizons so much, changed my life. But one day I was sitting in my office and I sat there and I looked at my books and I said, this book takes 1 week to read, 20 books on one shelf, 20 weeks, 7 shelves, 5 cupboards, so many bookshelves. How many years will it take to read? And my eyes went further back and I saw my dad's picture. My dad died at the age of 56. And I looked at his picture and I said, I'm 55 now. And he died at 56. I have 1 year to read all these books in case the same thing happens to me. And then I said to myself, I don't have a moment to lose. Rudyard Kipling's lines came to my mind. Pack each unforgiving minute with 60 seconds of distance run, and then and only then will you be a man, my son. This was his message to his child and to every child in the world. I decided to adopt that. And I started working every moment of my life, making every moment accounted. And it has given me such immense joy and so much achievement that today I look at my own life. I may not have made history, but I know one thing, that I conquered a lot of odds to get where I am. And my message today is, this life has not gone in vain. I have nurtured so many students. I have nurtured so many young people all over the world by giving them seminars, lectures on issues that are dear to me. But the message I like to give today is that regardless of the odds being served to you, whatever your cards are, learn to play with those cards because you can make the best out of those cards. Don't just pack them because the cards are not good enough. And the second thing is that you must manage your time. Time is something that will never come back. Everything else can be earned back, but time cannot be earned back. And time is something that is gifted to you. Every day that you get up, 24 hours are gifted to you. Use them well, plan them well, because if you lost them, you can't come back again. And therefore, manage your time and work hard. If you did these two, and I can assure you that success is yours always for the taking. Thanks a lot for listening. It's been a pleasure to come here.